Well, hello, good evening, and welcome to the program. This is Daily Politics on Trust TV. I'm Abdullahi Ahmed. Thank you most kindly for joining us. Tonight on the program, we zoom in on Nigeria's growing national security debate as the country continues to weigh the reactions that has trailed conversations around what is happening domestically, especially from the international perspective. Over the last couple of weeks, Nigeria continues to remain inundated with a lot of security challenges from the northeast to northwest and in the north central. But one particular group has been at the heart of the conversation, especially regarding those claims of genocidal attacks on certain communities in the north central part of the country. The conversations in Washington have singled out an all too familiar key player in the livestock industry. Two of them, the Mitetti Allah Cattle Breeders Association of Nigeria and Mitetti Allah Cattle Hore, who, according to the congressman, are a part of the problem. But what is shaping this narrative domestically? What are some of the truths and what is the way forward working with this particular group and their contribution to national security? We'll be speaking with the national president of MACBAN, who will give us insight as to what they are doing to address the narrative as well as their own perspective of these developing issues and what they are doing to be a part of the solution. But first things first, let's bring you up to speed with the latest political developments of the day.
Police officers have sealed the PDP National Secretariat in Abuja after clashes between two factions. Barbed wire was used to block movement, while officers and other men mounted barricades around Wadata Plaza to enforce the closure. Vice President Kashim Shettima arrived in Birnin Kebbi to meet families of the abducted schoolgirls from Government Girls Secondary School, Maga. He visited the state on Tinubu's directive and was received by Governor Nasser Idris, state officials, traditional rulers and security chiefs. President Bola Tinubu postponed his trip to South Africa for the G20 Leaders Summit. He's waiting for security briefings from Vice President Kashim Shettima on the kidnapped Kebbi schoolgirls and the attack on Christ Apostolic Church worshippers in Eruku, Kwara. Tinubu directed more security personnel to Eruku and the wider Ekiti local government area and ordered police to track down the attackers. A federal high court in Abuja sentenced Hussein Ismail, a leader of ISWAP, to 20 years in prison after he pleaded guilty to terrorism charges. The DSS said he coordinated the 2012 attacks on multiple police formations in Kano, which left many injured.
Apologies on the mix-up of the graphics in that last story there regarding the sentencing of one of those terrorist leaders. But we're talking security, we're talking national security, we're talking about the role of herders, pastoralists, the association that has become the face of herders across the length and breadth of Nigeria and beyond, and how they have been singled out in the conversation around the genocidal claims or genocide claims against the persecution or reported persecution of Christians in the country, and the wider problem around their relationship with host communities in different parts of the country. Let's bring in our guest, who is the national president of Mitetti Allah Cattle Breeders Association of Nigeria. Baba-Usman Ngelzarma is here with us this evening. Thank you so much for taking the time. Good evening and welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Right. First things first, let's start this way. There are a lot of people watching the conversation right now who think that your association, your organization is public enemy number one when you talk about national security. Why are people who think like that wrong?
Well, because they misconceived the position of Mitetti Allah Cattle Breeder Association. It's a misconception in the sense that this is an association that was registered on the 12th of February 1986. Even before that, it has been in existence before it gets its formal registration in 1986. And as a pressure group, as an association that was established for the plight of the legitimate pastoralists, the purpose of which is to educate them, get them settled, modernize the livestock production system as a process, help them understand the benefits of modernization so that they can begin to settle in one place, then addressing their relationship between farmers to ensure that they coexist peacefully with them. And this association, which I represent, is the only pastoralist democratic group we have in the country, because we conduct elections after every 4 years. I have been the secretary for the association 2 terms for 8 years before becoming its national president. And I'm now 3 years as the national president. By November, I should complete 3 years, and I should have only remaining 1 year to prepare for another election that will usher in new leadership of the association. And this is an association that has His Eminence, the Sultan of Sokoto, as the chairman board of trustee, and other respected traditional rulers as the board of trustee members of this association. We have been a peaceful group. We have never condoned, we have never supported, we have never financed any sort of criminality, and we have never taken any responsibility for any attack, because we are not criminals, and we'll never take responsibility for any attack. And most of the times we work closely with the security agencies in the country. They can testify to that. The police, the army, we have been working together, and we have been working together with all agencies that are relevant in this sense. We were part of the committee that produced a document that gave rise to the creation of the livestock ministry we have today in this country, because I was part of the JEGA committee, and I was also part of the implementation committee which presented the document we produced to the president, which gave rise to the creation of this ministry. And in addition to that, I have worked, my association had worked with so many international communities. We have at certain time engaged with USAID. We have had engagements with MESICOPS. We have had engagements with Interfaith Mediation Center. We have had engagements with Search for Common Ground and Center for Humanitarian Dialogue, and also the Agency for Peace and Conflict Resolution we have in the country. We have had so many engagements within and outside the country. We have been to the AU headquarters in Ethiopia on several occasions to meet with other pastoralist groups in other African countries to discuss on how to modernize, on how to transform the livestock production system into a modernized way that will benefit economies. So this is what we are doing in this country.
But why do you think, I mean, you say that there's a lot of misrepresentation, misinformation about what you do, your role, your net positive. Why do some people feel strongly about the activities of herders? And do you believe that you are the foremost group that represents most herders in this country?
Well, in terms of representation, the public has to know that Magban is not the only pastoralist group we have in the country. We have about 30 pastoralist groups in the country that all have members among the pastoralists. So not every herder is our member, and not every herder we represent in this country. And before we get you registered as a member, and ours is not only limited to Fulanis, because it is seen as a Fulani affair, because 95% ownership of the cattle in Nigeria coincidentally belongs to the Fulanis. So that is why they see our group as solely a Fulani affair. I am a Fulani man, definitely. But far away from that, ours is a cattle breeder association. If you are a cattle breeder and you want to take our membership, we ask the local government chapter to screen you and give you a membership, and you automatically become our member, irrespective of whether you are Fulani or not, irrespective of whether you are a Christian or a Muslim, or an Igbo man from the south, or from Plateau or Yoruba, whoever you are. If you are a cattle breeder, if you are interested in taking our membership, we give you our membership. We are more of a trade group. We are more of a trade group, and this association is working to ensure the welfare and the peaceful coexistence between farmers and the herders, because the farmer-herder conflict has been here for decades. This is what we have been addressing before the escalation of it to become what we see today. So, so many people are misconceiving the purpose of our group, or so many people are confused. They can hardly distinguish between the Mitetti Allahs. We have the Mitetti Allah cultural horde that just came in not more than 10 years ago. We have also other smaller Mitetti Allah groups. We are always surprised. The Corporate Affairs Commission always register pastoralist group association with the Mitetti Allah, Mitetti Allah. We have about 5 Mitetti Allah groups that is registered by the Corporate Affairs. And we have written a complaint. We complained on several times to the Corporate Affairs Commission to try to distinguish us from the other groups that call themselves Mitetti Allah. So this is why the confusion is.
Right, and is your concern stemming from just brand identity, or because you have concerns about their ethical practices?
Well, you see, we have concerns from how some of the groups operate. And we also have concerns from how they register their membership. Our group has never and will never represent any criminal, because we represent the peaceful ones. Let me give you an example. When the anti-open grazing law was promulgated in Benue during the time of Autumn invited me as the secretary then and my national president. We were there when that anti-open grazing law was implemented in Benue. Go back to the media clips, whether from channels or AIT, when Autumn was implementing that anti-open grazing law, you will see us standing together with him. We have had a lot of interactions with the Benue people, peaceful engagements, a lot of this with the Benue people. We have had a lot of peaceful engagement with the Agatu group. There's an association from the Agatu community. We have had series of engagements with them in our effort to ensure peaceful coexistence between the farmers and the herders in Benue State. So this is an association that has been interfacing with so many groups within and outside the country as a legitimate body, and we are always recognized as a legitimate body. We have never had any criminal record with any of the security agencies in this country. The security agency can testify. We have never had any criminal record with either the police, the army, or the SS. We have been operating peacefully. We always follow the article of memorandum that gave rise to our association. We ensure that we operate within the ambits of law in this country. Right. We never do things that are contrary to what the law of the country requires.
Well, I'm obviously aware, you are obviously aware, that the last couple of weeks have been anything but convenient for Nigerians, because the conversation online, offline, domestically, internationally has been about those genocide claims, persecutions against Nigeria's Christian population. And this past couple of weeks, we understand that congressmen, over 24 of them, are moving for the proscription of your group, Mitetti Allah Cattle Breeders Association, as well as Mitetti Allah Cultural Horde, and it's due for deliberation this week, Thursday. Your response to that, because I mean your group has already responded saying that you have nothing to do with that, but it looks like this particular move in the United States is going ahead regardless, because we've seen a doubling down by those House representatives who are pushing for some sort of intervention by the United States. What, in your view, led the situation to this position, and what steps are you willing to take next to make sure that this proscription doesn't happen?
Well, you see, the issue of genocide in Nigeria has a long historical root, including ethnicity and religion. But the situation is complex. because it is complex, it is essential that while trying to evaluate whether there is a Christian genocide or not in this country, it is essential that one looks at the multiple perspectives to the crisis. I can give you examples. A crisis took place in Taraba, for example, in 2017, up there in Sardauna local government, up there at the Mambila Mountains. In 2 days, 740 of the pastoralists were killed.
How many?
740 of the pastoralists. 740.
In 2 days?
The records are there. Names are there, pictures are there, we have the records. In 2 days. And the culprits still move freely. No arrest, no prosecution, no nothing. So part of the problem is lack of accountability on the part of government. Then coming down in Taraba to areas like Gasol, you see we have had series of killings by bandits on pastoralists. Series of killings. Hundreds of lives were lost of pastoralists by bandits. And we know, we always accept, among the group of bandits, there are also Fulanis. But the casualty figure in Gasol local government, hundreds out of those hundreds of people that were killed, 99% were Fulani pastoralists. Come to Adamawa, Demsa and Numan in around 2016. There was a case where 123 women and children were assassinated, all belonging to the pastoralists. That was a fight over a stream of where the pastoralists were watering for so many years, and they were paying the traditional institution in charge of that community. After every year, they contribute money and pay homage to the emir and pay because they were watering in that stream. So just abruptly, these people asked them to leave. They thought it was a joke. They even didn't take it seriously. They went to their market, only for them to come back and saw their women and children assassinated, killed in cold blood. We have the pictures, we have the names, we have everything. So this is why I tell you, it's not a case of genocide against Christians. This is Taraba that has a population of Christians as well as Muslims. This is Adamawa that has a population of Christians as well as Muslims. But all the deaths and casualties of the crisis that took place there happened to the pastoralists who are also mostly Muslims. Come down to Benue. What causes the crisis in Benue? The farmer had a company in Benue has been there for quite some time. But it was the promulgation of the anti-open grazing law and the promulgation and the implementation of that anti-open grazing law further exacerbated the conflicts in Benue. That today, up till today, you see farmers kept in IDPs. While all the pastoralists who were before living in Benue, some of them have died, some of them have lost the only fortune they have, which is the cow. So both sides, there were deaths, casualties, and loss of properties. So
yeah, but the key question is that, listen, the equalization doesn't make the conversation any better, because it's still talking or highlighting loss of lives, destruction of communities, and the impact and implication itself is what we're living with today as a country. But you talk about communal classes, you talk about herder farmers. A lot of people have dispelled that, saying that, listen, what we're witnessing, whether it's in Benue or in Plateau, is land grab. We have some who have claimed that some communities have even been renamed because the people who displaced those people in the IDPs that you're referring to have taken over those communities. What is the fact of the matter from your perspective?
As far as I'm concerned, this is an outright lie. There has never been a land grab by any pastoralist in this country, because an average pastoralist that we know doesn't care about land. Even in the northern, deep north part of the country where he thinks he belongs, he doesn't have land. They are the only landless society we have in Nigeria today. They don't care about land. All they care is how their animals can have water and grass. They move far into the hinterland towards the southern part of the country because of the effects of climate change that we have that has affected most of the northern part of the country, that has brought desertification, that had made the entire watering points, dams in the northern part to become dry, that has made all the forests in the northern part of the country become bare. They no longer produce the grass which the cow needed. And because they don't know anything apart from mobile looking for free pasture for their herds, so they have to move to where they can find water and pasture for their herd. That is why they are moving far into the hinterland. They don't care with anybody's land. So whenever I hear the story of land grabbing, I just laughed. Even in the plateau where they emphasize this issue of land grabbing, the problem in plateau is not even farmer herder per se. Talk less of a genocide.
How would you classify it?
The problem in plateau, as far as I'm concerned, is that of settler indigenous dichotomy that is taking place there. In fact, that was the reason why that was taking teachers who were coming to Mango for a wedding from Zaria, who are not indigenous of Plateau State. They were waylaid and killed in cold blood because of the hatred of that community of strangers who are non-indigenous. So they don't like anybody who is not a non-indigenous to come and coexist with them. So, and mind you, Mangu had never had conflict throughout the time of Jang. Mangu had never had conflict. When we had this religious conflict in Plateau, and throughout the time of Lalong, Mangu had never had conflict. It was only during the time of this present governor, because he is coming from Mangu local government, that is when Mangu became now a center of crisis in Plateau State. This goes to show you that the situation in Plateau is indigenous settler crisis, not farmer, not genocide, not religious, far away from it. So this is the reason why I tell you the situation is so complex. It's not a genocide against Christians. If it were a genocide, let it be clearly or correctly say genocide against human beings in Nigeria. If they put it this way, I will accept, because the killings that took place, that is taking place in Katana, that has taken place and is now taking place in Katana and Zamfara, if you can collect the number of deaths in Katana and Zamfara, it's almost double the number of deaths in areas of Plateau, Benue, and Taraba put together.
Yeah, but if we're talking about national security, it doesn't make the argument any better. But just to go back on the point about the land situation, we've seen several videos online, we've seen the commentary, we've listened to victims who say, listen, I've worked 4, 5, 6 months cultivating a particular land with my rice, with my maize and all the other crops, only for herders to bring their cattle and destroy them. And we all know how nomadic the business is, for the most part, unlike what has been argued for the past couple of years for Nigeria to adopt ranching. Are you willing to take responsibility for some of the problems that has unfolded, leading to the killings, the destruction of farmlands, as well as the rising temperature across some of these communities?
As I told you earlier, we will never take responsibility for any criminality, because we don't condone it. But we must accept that it is the attitude of the Nigerian pastoralists generally to destroy farms. This is on record. Our farms have been destroyed, being their leaders too. We know. We'll come to the farm and see cows.
You have farms too?
I have a farm. I'm a big farmer. I will come on several times. I came to my farm and saw herders making destruction. That is why we don't condone it. Where we find one, we make sure that that herder pays the farmer. And we make sure that if there is any let down law or regulation that this farmer had to face after paying the damage, let him pay the wraps of the law. Because we never condone it and we'll never accept it. We had a situation in Ekiti during the time of Fayoshe. We brokered peace. We punished those who destroy farmlands. That was why the governor saw the importance of our association and decided to work with us. We worked with Fayoshe throughout his time, and by working together, we have ensured peace in Ekiti State. We have done so in several other states to work with the farming community to ensure that this issue of farm destruction, which is very common among the pastoralists, this we cannot dispute, is very common among the pastoralists, and it is part of the problem. That is why we are always agitating for their settlement. Let there be settlement. Let them be settled in one place, because this era of free movement, looking for free pasture, is over, because the population of the country is growing and it will continue to grow again, a land that doesn't increase.
Is this a conversation you are having with your members to stop this nomadic activities, because times have come for things to change? Is this a conversation you are having with your members?
This is the awareness we have been creating among our members. We are telling them the population is increasing and it will continue to increase. Land doesn't increase. They must settle. They must find a place to settle. The government must come up with a model of settlement that can suit their peculiarities and get them settled in one place. This era of free movement, looking for free pasture, is over. That is why we go to the southern part of the country and tell them this creation of new livestock ministry is an opportunity that is coming to everybody's way. The southern part of the country can decide to have commercial ranches where they can be growing grass and allow the pastoralists to come and say to graze by paying them some sort of money after a certain period of time. So there is an opportunity. Even Benue can venture into pasture production. The southern part of the country can venture into pasture production so that the pastoralists can graze and pay money. Our grazing reserve that we have, that are mostly in the northern part of the country, can be transformed into community ranches. First, confine these pastoralists to remain within this range. Let them not dare go out and make destruction to people's farms. This has been our agitation. This is what we have been agitating for. And when we become part of this committee, the reform committee under Tahiru Jega, we made sure that this issue of settlement has been given prominence. It has been discussed. All the things that are involved in getting them settled in an atmosphere that can suit their peculiarities are there in that document. Settlement is the only option and is the only way out of this crisis of farmer-herder conflict we see in the country today. But over time, this farmer-herder conflict has metamorphosed into what we have today as banditry. From farmer-herder, we saw the emergence of cattle wrestling in small scale, large scale, industrial scale, and you cannot steal a cow without the help of a Fulani youth who knows the psychology of moving with a cow. This is an acceptable position also. So cattle wrestling, we saw cattle wrestling, and who are the owners of the cattle? Wherever a cattle is taken away, it has been taken away from a pastoralist. Last month in Kebe local government in Sokoto State, over 10,000 cows was whipped from pastoralist families. And not only that, the irony is, these criminals, bandits, they use the cows to graze with impunity in people's farms while moving with the cows. They destroyed hundreds of farmlands, and these families will assume these guys are the pastoralists making destruction to their farms. They don't know that they are criminals. They stole from the pastoralists. This is the complexities, this is the confusion that is going on that the public must know. We stand for peace and we never take responsibility. We have never taken responsibility and we will never take responsibility.
But how do you square this circle when a notorious bandit leader like Bello Turji, for instance, alongside many others who are now cutting deals in Katsina State, for instance, who say, listen, we're fighting for our people. Our people are being marginalized, they're being abused, they're being attacked, they're cows this, they're cows that. It makes it look as if the bandits are the armed wing of the pastoralists, the ones who are defending the pastoralists. So how do you make Nigerians to believe that you are also victims of banditry?
But have these criminal groups exonerated the pastoralists while doing their evil things? They steal from the pastoralists. They steal cows from the pastoralists on daily basis. They kidnap the pastoralists and make them pay ransom on daily basis. They take away their cows. They loot their communities and rape their women. So this is sheer criminality. They don't exonerate whether you are Hausa or Fulani or Igbo before they kidnap you. They are kidnapping for money. It's a common interest. Whoever you are, they were you not a witness when this lady in Kaduna, what's her name? This popular educationist in Kaduna, I forgot her name, a hardcore Fulani lady. She was kidnapped with her daughter and kept for quite some time. And we lost about 7 or 8 of our state chairmen as a result of activities of bandits. Just this year, we lost the chairman in Kwara State. He was followed to his house and killed by gunmen, which we suspect must be Fulani criminals, because he was going after them with a vigilante group working with the security to get them arrested. So they came to his house and killed him. Then secondly, our chairman in Katana was also killed in Merana village by bandits, and they took away his wife and a daughter. They kept the wife and the daughter for 8 months until when they took a ransom of 10 million before they get them released. And in 2015, they killed the Mitetti Allah Magban chairman in Kogi State. His offense was he borrowed a vigilante that were going after the cattle rustlers, killing them. So they organized, they came and kidnapped the chairman, took him to the forest. They took 3 million from his family. Up to today, the family did not see his dead body. Then some few days after, they also went after the vice chairman of the state in Ajakuta, killed him in his house. Then when the new chairman was also appointed, his name was Jalido. Jalido also was followed to his house inside Lokoja. Go to Google, I can give you the days. You will all see these stories. He was followed to his house in Lokoja. He was assassinated. Just this year again, go to Bariki Ladi local government. The local government chairman of Magban in Bariki Ladi was followed to his house around 8, 9 o'clock. He was assassinated. His offense was he has had a meeting with security agencies at the local government headquarters to discuss on how they can combat criminality in Bariki Ladi local government. So we have lost our members. Our members are also victims. They are not spared by the criminals. So these criminals that will come to say they are fighting for the Fulanis, they are doing it for the cause of the Fulanis. I don't see it this way. This is sheer criminality.
And as a leader of
the public should know this.
As a leader of Magban and as a Fulani one yourself, where do you draw the demarcating line to say, okay, these are the good Fulani actors and these are the bad faith actors, these are the ones that should be focused? Because I know you've been tracking the conversations online, and the generalization is Fulani this, Fulani that. And some people have very good reasons to believe that there is an ethnic or ethno-religious element to these attacks because they have personal stories to tell about some of these attacks. They've lost families, they've lost their means of livelihood, and so on and so forth. How do you draw a demarcating line as a Fulani man yourself? Because your ethnicity alongside your religion is part of the elements of this national conversation.
Well, you see, the generalization sometimes happen mostly as a result of ignorance, because people read from the social media, and most of the social media reportage are, if not all, are all based on sentiments. Today, if people see me speaking as Mitetti Allah president without even knowing who I am, you will see a lot of negative comments coming from the public, and not only from the southern part of the country today, even in the northern part of the country, because there is this campaign that wants to divide the houses from the Fulanis. So some people are buying into it. And secondly, apart from ignorance, some are doing it mischievously, deliberately, in order to smear the names of the pastoralists. And sadly, some are because of the single narrative, because of the deliberate negative profiling by some media houses against the pastoralists, against the Fulanis.
You think there is a section of the media that has an agenda against?
Exactly, we think so, because...
Is that a speculation?
It's never a speculation. If you go to most of the crises, you realize that the narrative is always single. And even the narrative that goes out of the country, I've had engagements at the US Embassy with some of the congressmen and some of the members of the Commission of International Religious Freedom. We have had a lot of conversations with them. They were even concerned, why is the narratives always single? Why is it a single narrative? Why is your side of the story not heard? So this issue of single narratives is what made people think every pastoralist is a criminal in this country. We have pastoralists, Fulanis, who are doctors, who are engineers, who are professors, and they are in large numbers. We have Fulanis, pastoralists, who are respected traditional rulers. We have a lot of them who are respected businessmen. You cannot all pack us in one basket and say we are criminals. I retired as a civil servant after placing 45 years of service before I take this position. And throughout my life, I have been working in finance. So I am not doing this for money. I am only doing it to contribute my part in seeing whether I can correct my people, whether I can change the cycle of my people to stop this roaming the wild, making destruction to people's farms unnecessarily, to try and settle in one place so that they can also enjoy government amenities. They can send their children to go to school. I am here because I went to school. So they can also do that. Let them put their children into the school. Let them keep their cows in one place. Let them take responsibility of their cows by feeding them. Right. Let them stop looking for free faster. This era is over. Right. It cannot be sustained.
And talk to me about where we are right now, because you still go online, you see, I mean, the video clip that we're rolling is a little over a week old. It's from Plateau State, where in the video, the narration is that they've had to wait with their cows for well over a week or so until the security guaranteed them passage through a particular community. And you see other videos also from the southern part of the country. Farmers, communities approaching these herders and, you know, basically telling them to leave the place because they're here to destroy property. Give me a sense of what the conversation is like. I mean, I asked the question earlier, but is this something that is actually going to happen in your lifetime, you think? We're going to see the end of nomadic pastoralist culture in Nigeria. Do you think it's about to happen?
It's about to happen in the sense that because we now have Federal Ministry of Livestock Development for the first time since the inception of Nigeria. Since the beginning of Nigeria, this is the first time that a livestock ministry was allocated an entire agency with all the finance to address squarely, holistically, the issue of livestock. We have never had it before. It was, before this time, placed under a department in the Federal Ministry of Agriculture. Today, because of this creation, we are witnessing the keying in of about 20 states in Nigeria to also create similar livestock ministry in their respective states. Just imagine the huge investment that is coming into livestock today. So in a near future, as far as I'm concerned, I am optimistic about it. In a near future, we will see the shift from traditional herding to a modernized system of settlement. We have started to seeing it in Kano State. Go to the outskirts of Kano, in Yadakwali and Chiroma local governments. All the pastoralists that are living in those areas, they are today settled. Do you know why? Simply because there is a milk collection factory. L&Z is collecting their milk. Because of ordinary milk collection, they have become settled in one place because they have a factory that is collecting their milk, and the factory has decided to increase an amount of just 20 naira on every family that agrees to enroll its child into the community school, and they have all enrolled their children into the community schools. And today we are celebrating the graduation of them into the secondary school from the primary school. So this type of initiatives, everybody is tired. Nobody wants to die. Nobody wants to lose his fortune. They are losing their fortune. They are dying as a result of the crisis. They are dying because of the cattle rustling. They are dying because of kidnapping, because they are living in vulnerable areas, forests, open for attacks by all sorts of things. So settlement is the only option, and they are all ready to embrace settlement because they were killed, they lost a lot of life. I compiled an information that I have sent to the US Congress, and in that information, in just 17 states, for the period of 10 years, the pastoralists have lost over 18,000 lives. And
18,000 pastoralists.
Over 18,000 pastoralists were killed in just 17 states, not 37. 17 states.
What's the span of time?
In the period of 10 years from 2015 to date. And we have submitted names, dates that they were killed, their location.
Is it in relation to the genocide claim?
Exactly, in relation to the genocide claim, because we wrote the Congress. We submitted a report to the Congress, defending our own position as Magban, to tell them who we are, how we operate, our vision and mission, to tell them that this is our constitution, we have sent our constitution, this is what our constitution mandated us to do, and we have never go out of our constitution. We have never get ourselves involved in any form of criminality in this country. We always operate within the ambits of law. That is why we are seen as the legitimate group. That is why we have never been either punished or called to order by any of the government agencies, because we work hand in hand. We don't condone criminality. We never accept it, and we will never accept it. We don't finance it. We don't like it. We don't tolerate it by whoever.
I mean, you get a sense that the Trump administration does not believe in the competency of the Nigerian government. He said it. A lot of his officials have also doubled down on it. But worst case scenario, if the plan of the US congressman goes ahead and you get proscribed as a terrorist group, or whatever the classification says, what's your next course of action? Because I reckon it is going to have a ripple effect, because they say they're going to target a lot of people associated with it. You talk about your chairman of your board being the Sultan of Sokoto. We all know the position that he plays in Nigeria as a leader, and so on and so forth. What will this proscription do in your view? Is it going to make matters worse? What's your analysis on this one?
You cannot prescribe me without hearing my own side. Where I have evidences that I can tender to you, that you can confirm to them. I see no reason why, if they are doing it for the purpose of fear, for the purpose of justice, justice requires that you hear from both sides. It has been a single narrative. We deserve to be heard as well. We deserve to be requested to present our own case. It is after that that you may be able to evaluate, weigh, and know whether we are actually criminals or not before you prescribe us. But because the entire country is now under scrutiny, and we also operate within the ambits of law under the country, so this will be left for the country to decide, because we cannot operate behind outside the ambits of law of the Nigerian government and the Nigerian constitution. So for us to be prescribed, I think before you do that, before any reasonable person will do that, I think there is the need for him to call us and hear our position. What can we do to, what can we say? And if we say it, how can we confirm it that this is actually true, that it happens to us? After all, most of this information are there in Google. You will see them. We have pictures, and we have sent pictures. We have sent names. We have sent letters. We have chosen some letters that we have done engagements with a lot of international bodies. We have sent letters where we engage with the security agencies in the state, and we have even sent a lot of copies of letters which we send to SS and police when we want to conduct election in a particular state, for them to screen our candidates before we allow our candidates to even contest election, because of the complexity of the security in this country. We don't want to get involved. So we have taken every precaution to tell the security that we are not criminal. I will have all the records to show to anybody who's ready to see them.
Well, what do you make of the body language from the United States? It does look like a decision has been made and that Nigeria is guilty of persecuting its Christian population, whether by omission or commission, because some do believe that the government has played a role through its actions or inactions. Where do you think this conversation is leading towards, and how do you see us de-escalating this particular situation, especially utilizing your network of partners in government, in civil society, in the INGO space, and so on?
Well, as far as we are concerned, we we are not looking at the larger picture of Nigeria because that is not within our powers. Nigeria has its own bodies that are responsible to defend her own position. But in our small way, as an association, we have done a lot of things. As a strategy, we decided to write the U.S. Congress, then copy the American ambassador and any other organ that is relevant. Then from that, we conduct a press conference, which we did on Sunday. Then after that, we reach out to people outside there in America who can help us go to the Congress and tell them who we are. MAGBAN has a lot of partners whom we dealt with in America. We have had engagement with series of business partners in America who are into dairy and meat processing. They know us. We have been dealing with them for so many years. They know who we are. We have sent it to them, let them reach out to the American Congress for them to tell them who we are, because we are not criminals. So we have doing what we can do within our level. But the larger picture should be left for the Nigerian government to do that diplomacy, because it's over and outside our powers to talk on behalf of Nigeria. But we can always authoritatively talk on behalf of the association we represent. We just hope and pray the U.S. will look at these issues with justice and fairness. Because this year alone, I have been to the American embassy 3 times. I have had a meeting with the American ambassador. I have had a Zoom meeting with some members of the International Religious Freedom Group. I have had a Zoom meeting with some of the congressmen at the U.S. Embassy. I have had dinner in the house of the ambassador with the members of the Amnesty International and human rights bodies. We have had a lot of interactions on how we can mitigate this. But after the whole of it, we now come to the conclusion that what is happening in Nigeria is sheer criminality, not religious or ethnic conflict. It's sheer criminality. And criminality doesn't distinguish between tribe and religion. There's nobody you cannot find in the fold of criminals.
What do you say, Mr. President, to people who believe that you have some pull, you have some sort of influence over those who are perpetrating these crimes, that you could call them to order because they are a part of the larger Fulani community? How do you respond to those who say that you could do more than just advocate for peace?
If we can do that, we would have stopped them from killing our leaders. We would have stopped them from taking cows. You're
saying you don't have any sort of influence, control whatsoever?
We would have stopped them from stealing from pastoralists. We would have stopped them from kidnapping pastoralists. Before you kidnap one personality in the city or on the main road, hundreds of pastoralists are being kidnapped on daily basis in the forest. They sell the cow, fair ransom. It's a silent happening. It's not reported. Nobody hears about it. So if we are that powerful over this criminal, we would have asked them not to kidnap pastoralists. We would have asked them not to steal cows from pastoralists. We would have asked them not to attack pastoralist communities. But today, the pastoralists are the most vulnerable groups in the country. On daily basis, you hear cows being taken away. And who is the owner of the cow? 95% of the cow ownership belongs to the pastoralists, who are coincidentally Fulanis. Their cows are being taken on daily basis. Today, more than 15% have run out of this country. They are trying to move out of this country to go to neighboring countries where they could find shelter for their lives and their cow, which is their only source of livelihood. So if we have that power, we would have stopped them from going after our members who are losing on daily basis, losing their lives, losing their only fortune, and their communities are being vandalized, destroyed, and see, look at this example in Kebbi State. Look at what is taking place in Kebbi State today. Before the abduction of these children, the Lakurawas went to attack a Hausa community, only for the Hausa to wake up this morning and go to ban the entire pastoralist community and kill them. So the pastoralists were the first victims of Lakurawas. When the Lakurawas first came, they were taking money from the pastoralists as zakat, until when they began to also steal their cows. It was after they finished their cows, they started attacking communities. And today, when communities are attacked, That community will go after the pastoralists that they were existing for so many years and begin to kill them. So this is the pastoralist, the Nigerian pastoralist is under serious threat. He is a victim of all these vices. Palmer-Harder conflict is making him lose lives and money. Cattle wrestling is affecting him 100%. Kidnapping is the worst kidnapping in this country. But it's a silent story. Nobody hears about it.
As a final thought, how do you see this story ending? This episode, at least. This
is something that borders on diplomacy. This is the responsibility of diplomacy in this country. This is the responsibility of the highest body of leadership, which is the president and his legislative members and his cabinet. This is their own responsibility to go on serious diplomacy to try to make the American government see reason and change their position. So, and the only thing we can do for them is to continue to pray and also call on our Christian brothers to know that if there is conflict, if there is an attack tomorrow in Nigeria, only God knows who will be affected. Because we are a mixture. Go to Borno, it's a mixture of Christians and Muslims that are coexisting peacefully. Go to Yobe, they are coexisting peacefully, and they are one family. You have in a family, go to the Yoruba side, you find in a family, half of them are Muslims, half of them are Christians. Take the president, for example, he's a Muslim, but the wife is a Christian. So it's a mixture, it's so complex. So if you are going to attack, how can you isolate whom you are going to attack? So this, I mean,
you don't think attacking Nigeria is going to be productive?
I just pray and appeal to the American government to see reason, because doing this is going to be counterproductive, as you rightly said.
Okay. Thank you so much, Baba-Usman Ngelzarma. I appreciate you very much for the analysis. Thank you for stopping by on Daily
Thank
Politics.
you very much for having me. I appreciate it.
And that is a wrap on tonight's edition of the program. Daily Politics returns tomorrow live at 8 p.m. Until next time, I'm Abdullahi Ahmed. Thank you for watching. We'll see you soon.